let's do an early preview of Kansas versus Colorado. And off the rip, I got to tell you, I've been looking forward to this game for some time. I thought it would look a little bit differently in the matchups, in the win-loss records, in the rankings, frankly, by the time that we got here. But now that we are here, it feels like this game has the potential to produce fireworks because the Kansas football team that I thought we were going to see for most of the year has shown up in the last two games, particularly as Jalon Daniels has settled down and settled in. I don't mind telling you, I was as excited about Lance Leipold getting to Kansas as I was about Deion Sanders getting to Colorado. It, for me, was the same thing, all right? So Kansas did not really have a football identity since 2007 when Mark Mangino had them flying high and they played in the Orange Bowl. Since then, it'd been mediocrity and no identity, and they've been sorry. During that same period of time, Colorado wasn't as terrible, but they had a good 2016 where they won 10 games. Mike McIntyre won Coach of the Year that year, and they were good enough offensively and defensively to finish in the top 25 of the college football playoff rankings. I think they even peaked at number 10. So Lance Leipold arrives with Travis Goff at Kansas, and I could already see that this head coach knew how to build a program from what he had done at the D3 level at Buffalo and now at Lawrence. And this team that had gone from being one that nobody expected to do much, all of a sudden started winning football games and beating good football teams in such a way that they had that really important turnaround game against Texas where Jalon Daniels played in that game, and you've seen the kind of quarterback play that they are really been great with. And Andy Kotelnicki, Travis Fuchs, the offensive line coach there, have been really great with. I also love that they've been able to develop guys that are from their hometown. Like Devin Neal is from Lawrence and should be Mr. Kansas. Tailback over there that is been a 1,000-yard rusher in years past, and I think he's one of the better tailbacks in all of college football. Certainly one of the most underrated tailbacks in all of college football. But they're sound offensively, sound defensively, or they can be. And Lance is a commanding presence and a tremendously kind person with his time, not unlike Coach Prime. I can't wait to see what these guys have to say about each other a little bit later on in the week. But when you look at what Prime has been able to do in his first 2 years at Colorado, and you juxtapose that with what Lance Leipold's able to do in his first 2 years, you can see some similarities, right? You can see that they both have dynamic quarterback play, guys that are magicians back there. When it's going really well, they can win you a football game. When the run game is going well at Kansas, they were unstoppable. Like Andy Kotelnicki was so good at getting explosive plays out of that offense the last couple of years and had been with Lance all the way up until he went to Penn State this year, and obviously he's got the number 4 team in the country, and they themselves are one-loss team looking to make the college football playoff. Kansas is not there, not this year. They got off to a really terrible start after beginning the season ranked, and a lot of that had to do with the quarterback play, and it is the most important position for this reason. Through the first 5 games of the season, Jalon Daniels threw 8 interceptions and had, I believe, 3 games where he threw multiple interceptions. And in the last 5 games since, he has thrown just 2 interceptions. One against BYU, but in a win against the number 6 team and what was an undefeated BYU team. I don't want to act as if that doesn't matter, okay? He went for 295 against Iowa State, which means that Kansas beat back-to-back ranked opponents for the first time in program history. That's what Lance Leipold's program is capable of doing, even in a year where they don't look good. They have won all of 4 games this season, but with a win against Colorado and a win to close it out, they're going to get to bowl eligibility and get into a bowl game and be able to salvage something from the season. Probably look back at the first half and go, what happened? Where did we all go wrong? But they got it going right against Iowa State in a very real way, and they were able to carry that over against a BYU program that it felt was always playing just above its head, being this undefeated this late in the way they'd been able to win games. Utah game, it felt like they should have lost that one. They didn't. And then Kansas comes and finishes the job. I think a lot of this is, again, on Jalon Daniels and what that offense can do, but on the defensive side is where they have been elite in the secondary. Mello, Dotson, and Cobee Bryant are the 2 best tandem cornerbacks in football. Those guys have combined for 9 interceptions by themselves. Cobee Bryant has 5, Mello Dotson has 4. I expect one of those guys will travel with Travis Hunter, but they don't have to because they're that good. I think if you put Travis into the slot, then you're probably going to put one of them into the slot. But I don't think they're going to be intimidated enough to double cover Travis Hunter so much as they are probably going to do what they normally do, which is have somebody single high playing center field and trust those corners to play one-on-one with not just Travis Hunter, but Will Shepard and Jimmy Horn if he's available to play. And now you got Jalon Miller that you got to worry about in the mix too with LaJohntay Wester. They got guys, right? And we've seen the difference between this Colorado team and last year's Colorado team is not the offense, because Shedeur Sanders is still one of the best quarterbacks in football when he is on, without question. Travis Hunter's been Travis Hunter for some time. Talk a little bit about what that guy's been doing this year and how it's just blowing my mind. And the folks that do not believe he is the Heisman Trophy winner simply aren't watching the same sport or are holding a grudge, right? Because what he's been able to do. You know what? Screw it. Let's talk about it right now. Travis Hunter and Champ Bailey breathe the same air. The difference is he is the first player in the NFL or FBS, I'll make sure I get all these stats correctly listed here, to have in the same game, this was Utah, in the 49-24 win against Utah, 50 yards receiving, a rushing touchdown, an interception in the same game. And he is also the first player since Champ Bailey in FBS to have at least 40 catches and 3 interceptions. Difference between Champ and Travis is that Travis has done that not once, but twice. We have not seen a player do what he has done production-wise on either side of the ball. He is ranked number 14th in the country in receiving yards with 911. He ranks 6th in the country in receptions with 74. He is tied for 8th in the country in receiving touchdowns with 9, and he's got 3 interceptions. Okay? For perspective on the receiving stuff, Jeremiah Smith has 49 catches for 865 yards with 9 TDs. They have the same amount of TDs, right? I dare say that the production that Travis Hunter would have at Ohio State is probably on par. And Jeremiah Smith is the best wide receiver at Ohio State. That is not any sort of snub to Emeka Egbuka or to Carnell Tate. Emeka Egbuka, who a couple years ago is the most versatile player in the sport. Hunter has also been able to keep himself healthy and been a force on both sides of the ball. Dorian Singer's receiving touchdown against Travis Hunter in that game, number 10, was the first that Travis had allowed all year. And you know what? Dorian cooked him. Just took him right off the line of scrimmage. Either Travis wasn't up to snuff or Dorian's just that much faster. But what Dorian Singer was doing at Arizona is not unlike what Terrell McMillan is doing at Arizona right now. He's one of them dudes. Like, he was at USC, didn't get as many opportunities as he should have, goes to Utah, immediately becomes the number 1 because he is on par with one of the 10 best, I believe, draft-eligible receivers in the sport. He's that good. So you're going to get beat if you're playing corner, and you're probably going to get beat if you're playing corner and 100 snaps on either side of the ball, which, again, ridiculous. I'm fascinated by the matchups on the outside, though. Like, I think the perimeter is going to be such a cool place to look because Jalon Daniels is going to try to get the ball out to his playmakers on the outside against DJ McKinney, against Travis Hunter, to say nothing of Cameron Silman Craig, and Jalon Sanders in the back end, say nothing of what they got in the middle where they've been able to get home. Like, that is where Jalon Daniels might be able to make a dent, where Isaac Wilson was not able to run away from Colorado's defensive line. Jalon Daniels might be, okay? He is elusive. To say nothing of the offensive line might actually watch this Utah tape and decide, you know, maybe we want to get the ball out quicker. Maybe we want to try some bubble screens. Maybe we want to try some tunnel screens. Maybe we want to try to get one-on-ones and ask our wide receivers to go win those one-on-ones against DJ McKinney, against Travis Hunter, against Cameron Silman Craig if you have to drop him down into coverage. I want to see that. On the other side, I can't wait to watch Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn, Will Shepard, LaJohntay Wester, Jalon Miller go at the secondary. Like, Mello, Dotson, and Cobee Bryant are outstanding players. Like, this is as good as it's going to get, I think, until we get to the college football playoff and as far as 7-on-7 going berserk. Because I know that the edge for Kansas is going to be their run game, right? Devin Neal is that guy. Darren Hinshaw is that guy. Highshaw, is that guy. You got those dudes, right? You can run the football. But Utah thought it could run the football. I think if Micaiah Bernard doesn't have the hand issue, maybe we see more of him. Maybe he's a little bit better. But tell the true shame to devil, they tried to run the football against Colorado, and they couldn't. Maybe that's the same. The difference, I think, between perhaps Lance Leipold and almost anybody else is his ability to outcoach you. He reminds me a lot of Lon Kruger at Oklahoma, where if he's got players, you're screwed, because I don't know that anybody in football knows more about the game than Lance Leipold at this point. And, one of the ways in which you could see this is the pooch punt that they basically did to seal the victory against BYU, what came from Jalon Daniels, and Lance had said, hey, look, Thursdays, this is what we do. It's always been a thing we do on Thursdays. We practice the quarterback pooch punting, and when we had to do it, it's worked out pretty well for us. I also think it is worth pointing out that the defense showed up against Jake Retzloff and LJ Martin and Chase Roberts for Kansas, and as you're getting a Kansas team that feels like the kind that we were expecting to see, Colorado is going to get, I believe, tested for real for the first time since Kansas State. Like, that's how talented this Kansas team is. Do not look at their record. Their record sucks. Their record is not indicative of the team that they are capable of being. The team that they are capable of being is Colorado, okay? It is a like for like. They are capable of being you, which means they're capable of beating you. I believe that the better team won that game against BYU. I don't think that, in that game between Kansas and BYU, I don't think that BYU is more talented than Kansas. I think that Kansas just has not played to its ability up until the last 2 weeks. And as proof, man, back-to-back ranked wins for the first time in program history, and Kansas has been playing football for a very long time. So I'm going to be focused on those matchups. I'm going to be focused on Shedeur Sanders being able to do what he does. If he throws an early interception, can he flush it like he did against Utah? Jalon Daniels, does he throw the ball to other people, because he hasn't made a habit of doing that in that latter half of the season? Just 2 interceptions versus 8 in the first half. Is Devin Neal going to be able to run the football? Because if Devin Neal's able to run the football, it's a long day for Colorado, and that's going to be difficult. That's going to be really hard to come back from. And then what does Mello, Dotson, or Cobee Bryant get done against that passing attack? And then what does Travis Hunter do against everybody? Again, the man is, if he hits his average of 92 receiving yards per game, he'll go over 1,000 in this game. If he gets 1 TD, he becomes the first player in FBS to have at least a double-digit season of receiving touchdowns, 10, 1,000 yards receiving, and at least 2 interceptions. If that ain't good enough to win you the Heisman Trophy, I would really love to know what the hell is.